like standing behind a podium, so I'm going to take this off here. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate the support. I appreciate all of you coming out and just getting involved in this process, and it means so much to me. I'd like to thank my husband. Where is he? There you go. Stand up, honey. I'd like to thank my husband. I would not be able to do what I do without the strength and courage of that man over there, and so he is just the most wonderful man I know. And I'd like to thank Senator McCain for coming out to this great state of Utah. I am so honored. I am absolutely honored to have your help and your support and have you here in the state of Utah. We owe him our thanks and our respect, so thank you so much. Okay, so a little bit about me, where I come from. I know so many of you have probably heard this and so many of you haven't, and I'm introducing myself all the time to everyone, but I think it's really important for people to understand what I believe in, what my principles are. Because if you understand what someone's principles are, you always know where they're going, right? So my parents immigrated here from Haiti. So many times my dad would tell me stories about growing up in Haiti and what it was like. And I'm telling you, these stories that he would tell me gave me a great appreciation for this country, this great country we live in. There was one particular story he told me. When he was 14 years old, he went into a movie theater with some of his friends. And when he walked out, he saw a bunch of people rushing in one direction. And he said, in Haiti, when you see people rushing in one direction, you run. And so he ran and he looked behind him, and what he saw turned his stomach. He saw a man with blue uniform, blue beret, and black boots. That person was known as the Tonton Macoute. It was a special military outfit that was set up to protect the president. And they certainly had no law that applied to them. It wasn't odd for somebody like that to go into your home, do whatever they wanted to. They can kill you, and you couldn't do anything about it. No law applied to them. So when he saw this Tonton Macoute, which is literally translated as boogeyman, by the way, when he saw this Tonton Macoute, he ran and he found this drainage pipe, and he climbed himself into that pipe, and he stayed there. And he said survival mode must have kicked in, because when I opened my eyes, he was gone, and it was daylight already. And he said, I climbed out and ran home. And I said, Dad, you must have been so scared as a kid, not knowing what this guy was going to do to you. And he said, if you thought I was scared, you should have seen the look on my mother's face. Because if a child didn't get home in the evening, then they weren't getting home during those times in Haiti. He said, I took the first legal pathway out, got a visa, went to the United States, decided to have my family there. I was born in New York. He said, and because I never wanted to have those fears, and I certainly never wanted my children to have those same fears. So I watched my parents pull themselves up by their bootstraps. My dad came with $10 in his pocket. I remember the first time my dad actually bought a home and how incredibly happy he was. And I'm thinking to myself, gosh, everyone's doing this. I mean, what's taken us so long? And of course, as a child, you don't really understand the struggles that go into these things. But he bought a home, and it was a two-family home. And I remember he rented the top floor, we lived at the bottom, and then there was an attic. And I remember him actually gutting out the attic and making an apartment up there and renting that out. So they would work several jobs to make ends meet. They would have this home as an income, and that's how they survived. I remember my dad scrubbing toilets at a public Catholic school, and was just happy to do it, happy to have work. On the first day of college, like the governor said, I took my dad with me, and I took him because he's the fun parent. I didn't take my mom everywhere. And I love my mom. She's my favorite. So my dad was just giddy, and I just remember him being so happy. And it was because he was sending his last child through school. At one point he got very serious, and he said, Mia, your mother and I have done everything we could to get you here. I have never taken a handout. You are not going to be a burden to society. You're going to give back. And I have to say, thank goodness it didn't go in one ear and out the other. I actually paid attention, and I've taken those principles with me everywhere I've gone. Those principles have led me to work with my fellow council member, wave bud, to take a city from the brink of bankruptcy to being financially stable. Was it easy? Absolutely not. You wouldn't believe what we had to do. But our city is better off today because of the hard cuts and the hard decisions we had to make. We cut everything. It was difficult. But I can tell you, Saratoga Springs today is on firm financial ground. We have the highest bond rating available to a city of its size and class. And Standard & Poor's released a statement saying, we had no choice but to give Saratoga Springs the highest bond rating because their financial future is so bright. And that comes from a certain principle. We have to ask ourselves 3 questions whenever we're making any new commitment, as a mayor, as a council member. Is it affordable? Is it sustainable? Is it our job? That's not what's happening in Washington. You see, we live in a different world than the one that my parents came into. We live in this country that is quite a bit different. I do not believe that my parents would be able to achieve everything that they achieved in the 70s if they came to the United States today. Which tells you what? The American dream is in jeopardy. We've got $16 trillion of debt, deficit spending. We've got an administration that has vowed that they are going to raise taxes on those who create jobs. Also an administration that doesn't think that congressional review is necessary. And all of you entrepreneurs out there, they believe you didn't build your job, you didn't build your company. Somebody did it for you. I remember my dad saying, I don't remember Michelle or Barack Obama scrubbing toilets for me. We live in an environment today where people are out of work and they're tired. 8% for the last 3 years of unemployment. Not only are they out of work, some people have just given up. Given up. This is why I'm running. I am running because I believe the American dream lives. If we look back in history, we can look at my parents who came to this country with $10 in their pockets, and we know the American dream lives. You look at me, who's a product of that hard work, and we know that we can get back there. It is our time. Thank you. The time has come for us to no longer sit on the sidelines and wait to see what happens. Hope and change that president talks about lies with us, not with the federal government. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that our children have the future that they deserve, which is one that is more prosperous than the one that we've earned. So, here's reality. Our children do have a boogeyman that's chasing them. It's $16 trillion of debt. The difference is, boogeyman is fiction, the debt isn't. I'm a parent, that's why I'm here. My parents worked hard to make sure I got the life that they wanted for me. And it's time for us to work hard to make sure we give them the life that we want for them. We are no longer going to stand by and watch this president divide us in this so-called class warfare. We're no longer going to stand by and watch them divide us in any way, shape, or form. We're going to stand up and take this country back. So, we have an opportunity to elect Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan as president of our country. And we have an opportunity right here in the 4th District to do something very special. I'm going to give you 2 options, and you get to choose. 1, you can have a representative that chooses to bury his head in the sand and pretend that there is nothing wrong. As a matter of fact, he's going to go out and he's going to tell you that you are going to lose everything that you've been promised, which we know we're going to lose anyway unless we do something about it. We've got someone who's voted for the president's stimulus package, the failed stimulus package, by the way, cash for clunkers, flip-flopped on Obamacare, and has made a public statement that he is going to support President Barack Obama again in November. Or you get option number 2. You've got a little old mayor who works where the rubber meets the road, who understands how to actually balance a budget, who understands that you can't live beyond your means, who understands that we tighten our belts and we want Washington to do the same thing, who understands as a parent that we have got to work hard. It's our obligation to make sure that we're working hard so our children do not have to deal with our problems. And who has vowed publicly and is proud to say that she supports Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan. And I'll go to the National Convention and let everybody know that. So again, thank you for being here. I wanted to just say a couple of words about Senator McCain. He's here for some specific reasons. First of all, I want you to know that I appreciate the fact that he's been on the front lines working so hard against this president's agenda. He has been talking about the budget for a long time. And I'm telling you, our country would be in a completely different place if he was actually president as opposed to Barack Obama today. And last but not least, this is a man who has shown with his actions, not just his words, that he loves his country. He bears the scars on the inside and out to show for it. He has my respect, my love, and my appreciation. So, without further ado, please help me welcome Senator John McCain.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Trip down memory lane there. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much.